All right. Real Estate Radio. We officially get started with my guest here for Get to Know, and we're getting to know Mr. Ken Jenne. And Ken, you and I have been chatting before this call about a lot of things, and some things we will not touch on. But typically, I like to start these with a fun question. And if you'd watched some of the videos, you could have cheated and know what the question was going to be.
I didn't watch it, so I'm totally surprised, John. I'm really surprised.
All right. So you watched Donnie and Marie, the Osmond Show, probably back in the day, one of your favorites?
Yes, absolutely. Who would say it wasn't their favorite?
So are you a little bit country? Or are you a little bit rock and roll?
Yes.
Such an ass.
That's my answer. And I'm sticking with it. It's my final answer, John. Yes.
Well, no, because that's the first question, because you have to have something to it. So I'll change it up a little bit just for you, Ken. You're going to that deserted island, whatever it is, an MP3, cassette, 8-track, reel-to-reel, CD, vinyl, whatever the hell you call it. Can't bring your greatest hits. What are you bringing?
I'm not bringing Don Ho or Alfred Apaka, but I probably would if I was on an island, just to keep the mood sort of tropical.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's
I
it.
can see this
That's
is
what I
going
would do.
really well.
And I bring a lot of Mai Tai mix. That's what I probably do.
Okay. But you're not giving me anything as far as your musical interest, but that's fine. Mine is so wide variety, it doesn't really matter.
Well, I am too. I mean, I like it. You can go on my playlist on Spotify and see Pavarotti next to,
Metallica.
Willie Nelson. So it's very diverse. In fact, I like that about the playlist. You can just make it diverse.
No, I completely agree with you. I don't have anything that I really don't like, but I'm not going to put on my new age randomly on a drive home from an appointment. But I like all types of music. So I appreciate that, Ken. I really do.
Well, yeah, let's put it this way. Rap's great, but not a bunch of it. Just once in a while.
Well, it's God's plan. Actually, because my daughter Maggie, that's pretty much 90% of our house is just going to that beat all the time. We ask for the censored version, but rarely get it. So, all right. Our world is real estate. I've known Ken for 20 years. And as folks that have gone to our conferences over the years, everyone knows Ken can be very transparent, very candid.
Really? Is that out already?
Yeah, it is. But I find you to be a very smart guy, a bright guy, and a funny guy. And like I said, candor's great. It has to be controlled at times. We understand that. But I think our industry is very tight-lipped about a lot of stuff. And I was very to the front on the CRM topic, can't recoup money. You and I kind of joke about that because the end of the day, if an agent's being productive and doing things that helps them be productive, fantastic. Let them do what they're doing. But I feel like, we can talk about, you gave a great example talking about car dealerships compared to brands and real estate. And if you could just talk a little bit about that, I don't want you to go too crazy, but I'd love to get that kind of rehashed here on the call.
Well, John, I think I hear in the industry that we're so unique and different than other industries. And sometimes that's good. And sometimes it's just not good. I mean, consumers that we do business with, sellers, buyers, renters, they're all consumers. And they compare what we do with what your example was, the car dealers or the airlines or anybody else. I'm staying in a Westin hotel here in Buckhead, and it's the W Hotel next door isn't selling rooms in the Westin because they don't know what the Westin has. They don't have access to the inventory. They've never seen the rooms here, but they know the W rooms. Airlines, if you get on a Southwest Airlines flight and say to the flight attendant, hey, when's the next flight United has to San Francisco? And you wouldn't be surprised if they say, I don't know. Or if you go to a Mercedes dealer and say, can you sell me a Porsche? You're a really nice person. They'll go, sorry, I can't. I only know the Mercedes vehicles.
Yeah.
That's my expertise. And you need to go to the Porsche dealer to find out about Porsches. I don't know why in our industry we allow people to take listings that can't sell them themselves. I mean, our companies are all made up of listing agents and buyer's agents. A lot of good reasons that should happen, I think. For instance, technology. I'm so concerned in this industry about the consumer experience. You can put consumer real estate experience or any business in there you want. But I don't think we're evolving our processes enough. We're applying technologies to old processes, and that's not going to move the needle. But I think the consumer today is, there's a plethora of alternatives. And one of the best examples, if you don't think the process needs improvement, is the iBuyers that have come along. The iBuyers have institutionalized the transaction, and the industry has pretty much said that's never going to happen. Well, it happened in the REO days. Mm-hmm. They're all REOs. They were all institutionalized, asset managers and property preservation.
Right.
Typical thing. But I think
And really the security around that is what you're kind of nailing down, is that the consumer issue, it goes really centers right on the security, not just really some of the basic stuff like we talked about the open house, going through people's private stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there was an article recently in the trade publications about iBuyers having people breaking into houses or going into houses legally with their app and then staying there and sort of living there. And they were talking about the security issues of that. I think we have a bigger security in this issue in this business when we put lock boxes on front doors and have open houses, and we don't fully vet people that we take with us as realtors.
Mm-hmm.
And by no means do we fully vet, nor do we supervise people in open houses. And those houses have valuables, medications, jewelry, firearms, all kinds of stuff that whether you ask the seller to do it or not, they never hide all that stuff. Go right to the underwear drawer and you can find all the money.
Yep.
And so I think we have issues of privacy and security that directly impact the consumer experience that we haven't addressed. And I think we need to start thinking about that. And I not unlike yourself, I go to open houses all the time. I love them because you can go walk through someone's house and see what they do and what they looks like and get some designer ideas. Very rarely are we going to buy that house. And we know that the agents are doing it to get buyer leads. And
yeah, I can't remember. You told me about this. The stat, basically, folks going into open houses is well over 80% there have no interest in buying the house, more looky-loos. So,
but also the seller knows that we're taking them out of their home on the weekend when they're supposed to be enjoying their home, telling them to go do something all day long while we do our open house, so that we can self-servingly get buyers. And we tell them that we're trying to sell their home, and it's not necessarily true.
That's part of what you're doing there, obviously. But the maybe not the majority, but a good part of it is collecting cards and trying to find buyers for other houses.
Yeah, and we're really naive if we think the seller doesn't understand that, because if they ever send a secret shopper in an open house, they'd know that for sure.
Right.
What do you think of the house? I don't really like it. Well, I got 17 others I can show you if you want to leave right now. We'll close it up and leave. Come on, that happens all the time.
How often do you think brokers are doing the secret shopper? And do you think they should?
Sellers probably not, but sometimes their neighbors come in and say, you know what they told me when they came in?
Right.
And then it gets back, and then we look like a less than professional industry.
Do you think it would be apropos to have those secret shoppers? Like a broker should have that part of his arsenal to make sure that
I think the problem is, and I'm going to say this with all due respect and love for the brokers, I think they know that's what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how they get people to go hold open houses, go get some buyers. So I don't think it's all on, I think it's an industry thing we've done forever that needs to change. That's probably the way I'd say it. And I'm one that believes that we have the technologies to do, like I mentioned to you before, we need to prepare the home for a showing once. That's when it's photographed. The next time someone comes through that house, in my opinion, is when they're serious about buying the house.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, go online. The problem is our MLS technologies don't support things like Matterport 3D and doll houses and all that. And then because they don't, then they don't get sent to the portals, which is where the consumers expect to see them. But instead, they click on something and an agent has to show them the house. That's old. That's really old and very inefficient. We take this online experience and we throw it offline too soon. I mean, they're there shopping, doing all our work for us, eliminating properties, because that's what every buyer does, as you know. They don't select properties, they eliminate ones they think might work by getting more information. And they do all the work for us, which is great. And then they say, okay, now I want to see inside the house. You go, okay, I'll meet you over there. And it's like, why can't they see it online? Where our technologies are too old to support the new ways of doing things. Open Doors figured out, and the iBuyers, that you don't need someone to open the door to show a property. You just put an electronic lock on it with an app. Now, we wouldn't do that with a house that's occupied, but we need to work through this resale thing more institutionally than what we are doing currently, if we're ever going to improve the consumer experience.
But at the forefront of all that should be security, I would think.
Well, security for not only us, but security for the people we serve.
No, yeah, that's what I kind of meant. Yeah, the consumer security. Well, as much as we talk about the open houses where you're going to take a buyer to a random location without really vetting them and finding out who they are, getting a driver's license and all that, you get an opportunity with a lead. A lot of realtors just go with it. And seeing all the stuff online, they're starting to hopefully take more care of themselves.
You asked me about the example with cars, right? The automotive industry. I said, I've done business with this particular car dealer in where I live for 25 years. And to this day, if I want to test drive a car, what do you think they do? They want my
Bring it to you.
driver's license.
Right.
A copy of my driver's license. This guy could be my brother. I've bought hundreds of thousands of dollars from cars from this dealership, and they still need my driver's license. Why? It's a matter of security. No matter who you are, everybody
Right.
does it.
Yep.
And yet we don't do it any of the time. I mean, hi, welcome to my open house. Come in, walk around. If you have any questions, let me know. Guns are in the second drawer. The money's behind the pillow.
Yeah, right.
You might as well just put up the sign. The drugs are, in the lower cabinet. I mean, I don't know why we're so naive about this stuff. And then at the same time, we have people casing houses to rob them. All the wrong reasons people are coming in usually.
No doubt.
And we have security issues with our own people that even, the industry won't address.
Well, you've given me some thoughts, and mainly I'm going to make sure I come to your house and do some door knocking.
Well, I think everybody talks about door knocking. You remember the do not call list, right?
Yeah, it's the same.
I think a lot of technologies have made a do not knock list now. Ring, you can see who's there and you can talk to them without it coming out and open the door anymore. I mean, the first, when I was growing up, you had to open the door. Then they said, no, let's put a peephole in the door. That was advanced technology back then, right?
Right, yeah.
And now Ring says you can just sit in the other room with your phone and go, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So I think, we need as an industry, this is fundamental to understand that people are looking for product. Our product is homes. They're not searching for things other than homes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're doing it online now at such a rate and such an adoption rate that we should enable that more to protect the privacy and security of the industry and the consumer, and to get them the information they want so they can, in a great way, they're doing our job for us. They're eliminating properties, and we're available to do things that we can do. I don't think we're doing enough to move the needle on the consumer experience, and that's all about process. It's so important that we review all our processes that we've had for years and years and years and find a way to do them better. I mean, when you go to the airport and there's this thing called Clear, did that exist 10 years ago?
Right, no.
No, you had to go through with your driver's license, and still people that don't have that have to do the old way, stand in line, or you can use the technology for retina scans and boom, you're right through.
Mm-hmm.
And now not only that, Clear is going for banking, for concerts, for picking up a rental car.
Mm-hmm.
They've embraced the rental car industry. Even the government, the TSA, has embraced these industries. Clear is not owned by the US government. It was a technology applied to a governmental standard to make it easier for the consumer. And that's how they made their money. What are we doing in real estate to do that, to improve that experience? And I can't see anything. Maybe you do, but I don't see anything.
No, I'm working on it. Well, the last part of the real estate, to wrap that part, the evolution, 2 decades ago took a long time for things to happen. But will you agree that things are happening at such a rapid fashion, and some things that are probably more important just aren't happening at all?
I would agree with that, but I'd also sadly agree that it's other people that are doing that and not the core of our industry.
Okay.
The 2 words I look at in business, John, in what I do is beware of this thing. It's 2 words: viable, alternative. If you're an alternative and you're not viable, who cares, right? But if you're a viable alternative, getting funded with new ideas and getting consumer adoption, you better pay attention, because what you're doing will be old faster and faster.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't think we even acknowledge that that's the case. I have still know agents and brokers who think there's nothing wrong with everything we do. Everything's great.
Well, that's completely blind. Why would, nothing is perfect.
I say in my business, John, to people, the only thing fundamentally changing about the core of your business is everything. That's the only thing that's changing. So don't worry about it. It's everything.
Well, this is I knew it was going to be interesting. And by the way, Ken, I could do these once a month with you. We'll see how these kind of go over time. But I know that my conversations with you over the last 15 years or so have always been valuable to me. They've been entertaining as well, very candid, very transparent in your thoughts. And sometimes people are like, oh, that's Ken. No, you're smart. You really investigate. You research your thoughts. You don't just throw them out there. Sometimes you do. Those are the entertaining ones. But in general, Ken, no, I really respect what you do. And we'll put your email down below so folks can start spamming you.
That's great.
We want to go back on the, not that real estate isn't fun, as I always say, but on the fun side, we have our bucket list, and I'm sure your bucket list is pretty crazy. We actually talked about this before, so I know something about that. But is there one thing on your bucket list, like John Reinhardt we talked the other day, and John's is he wants to get and touch a rhino, because his nickname is actually Rhino, and wants to go to Africa and touch a rhino. That's a very extreme part of a bucket list. But do you have something seriously, Ken, that's on your list that you know you want to accomplish?
I actually do. I always raise the bar on myself, or try to. Like, I fly airplanes, but not really impressive airplanes, like single engine, fixed gear land kind of stuff.
Right.
So not a seaplane or not any of these fancy planes. But my bucket list, I want to at least participate as a co-pilot. I could never get in the left seat, in landing a Gulfstream 550 jet. And I think fundamentally I could probably do it with a little training. It'd be fun to try to do it. That's a 2-pilot aircraft, so you technically have to have someone certified in both seats. But maybe one day if I do something really well and own my own G550, I can get that done.
Right. Well, good for you. That's an extreme. I did not know that. So that's why we do get to know. I didn't know that you flew planes, so that's awesome. My bucket list is nothing of interest like that, so I won't share it.
You're an interesting guy. You're nothing but interesting.
Let me get my Hawaiian music going for you real quick here. And
yeah, that's right. Get done.
I appreciate it. Ken, you're awesome. I appreciate it. And we end our real estate radio with good day.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Have a great day.